Okay, stats, we're going to start by talking about 1.1 and 1.2. Chapter 1 generally is a lot of definitions. So what we're going to talk about is how we use these definitions. So this class, statistics, you can see the definitions: the science of collecting, organizing, and summarizing and analyzing basically data to answer questions. Now, usually you end up using a sample to answer questions about a whole population between these two. You're not going to ask every high schooler ever if they were bullied. You're probably going to take a sample and use that conclusion to try to make a generalization about everyone. Now, an individual is a member of the population being studied, and then a statistic is a numerical summary of a sample. The parameter is about the population. So the difference between those two is one is known. If you know about a whole group, it's a parameter. If you're using a sample and you draw a conclusion, it's a statistic. Now, descriptive statistics is organizing and summarizing data. It can be described through tables and graphs. Inferential is using methods to take a result from a sample and extend it to a population and measure the reliability of the result. We're not going to worry too much about inferential yet, but there's some questions about it, so we should address it now. Okay, determine whether the underlined value is a parameter or a statistic. 12% of the governors of the 50 United States are female. We know all of the governors, it's the whole population. If it's about a population, P, parameter, also P. Population parameter, not too difficult. Now look at number 2. In a national survey of 1,300 high school students, 32% report that they had been bullied. Now that's not all of the high school students in the world, so it's a statistic because it's about a sample. The average score of a calculus class of 28 students was 72%. You could argue either way. What if there's like 3 calculus classes? But I would assume generally it's about the whole population of that class. A parameter. Ty Cobb's career batting average is .366. It's about all of his batting average, bats over his career. That's a parameter. Out of 6,076 people studied, 23% did not wash their hands before exiting a public restroom. Besides gross, that is a statistic. Now, some questions will ask you to identify the population in the sample. A manager randomly selects 50 bottles of Coca-Cola that were filled on October 15th to measure the amount of liquid in each. So the population is all the possible things that could have been chosen. Those would be all of the population is then all of the bottles filled on October 15th. The sample is the 50 that were actually chosen. Similarly, for a college randomly selecting 128 students to see how many are full-time workers who could have been chosen in the population, it's just all the college students at that college. And the sample is the 128 that were picked. So that's the difference between those two. Now, generally speaking, on the next page, qualitative versus quantitative. I think most people know by now the difference between those two. Quantities are described in numbers that are a measure. Qualities are just a classification. So nation of origin is qualitative. Number of siblings would be quantitative. Value of a house, quantitative. Student ID number, while it is numbers, it's not a measure of you really. It's qualitative. And zip code. Again, quantitative measures have to be able to be added or subtracted to provide meaningful results. If you add 2 zip codes together, you're not going to get anything relevant, so it's qualitative. Discrete versus continuous. A discrete variable basically jumps gaps in values, has a finite number of values. Continuous can be anywhere in the middle. For example, you can run 3.5 miles. You can run any amount of distance, cut it in half, but you can't have 3.5 houses. You can co-own, but you either own the house or you don't. So number of siblings. Last I checked, you can't have half a sibling. A half sibling is still a sibling, so this would be discrete. Volume of water used each day in a home. Continuous, you can use part of a gallon. Length of a city street is continuous, because again, you can have like 3.5 feet of length added to some number. Goal scored by a soccer player, discrete, you either scored or you didn't. Internet connection speed, I think you can argue this either way. Usually the packages that are offered, there's only a discrete number. It's like 15 megabits, 20, 100, 200. But your actual speed at any given time is continuous because it bounces. We will try to avoid questions that can go either way on the test. Now, page 3 is a lot of explanations. Nominal is name the values or quantities. And like naming, labeling, or categorizing, also the naming scheme doesn't allow for the variables to be ranked. So if you can't rank them in an order, then it's probably nominal. Ordinal has the same properties as nominal, however, it allows you to order them, like A, B, C. Interval has the same properties, but adding and subtracting can be performed, and usually intervals are the same size. And then ratio has all the properties of interval, but the difference between interval and ratio is for interval, a value of 0 can represent anything. For ratio, a value of 0 means nothing. So the questions you ask yourself to differentiate between them are, can it be ordered? Are they evenly spaced? And does 0 mean nothing? So highest degree obtained in school, can it be ordered? Yes. Are the intervals easily spaced? No, then it's ordinal. Anytime you get a no, you're done, or when you're done with 3 questions, you're done. Eye color. Can it be ordered? No. So some people try to say one color eyes is better than the other. Can't. Year of birth of college students. I mean, can it be ordered? Yes. Are the intervals evenly spaced? Last I checked, the distance between years, 1 year is 1 year, so yes. Does 0 mean none? If you're born in the year 0, does that mean you weren't born at all? No. So that means this is interval. Movie rankings. Can they be ordered? Yes. Are they evenly spaced? You're like, well, 1, 2, and 3, and 4, those are all evenly spaced. But can you have 2 movies that you liked almost equally for first and second, and then it's a big drop-off? Yes. So it doesn't mean the rankings make them even. So I would argue that this is ordinal because they're not really evenly spaced. Value of a house. Can it be ordered? Definitely. Are dollars evenly spaced? Yes. Does 0 mean it has no value? Yes. If it's a yes to all 3, it's a ratio. Volume of water used each day in a home. Can it be ordered? Yes. Are the intervals evenly spaced? I would assume any measurement can be evenly spaced. Does 0 mean you used none? I would say yes. So this is also ratio. Time of day and military time. Can it be ordered? Yes. Are the intervals evenly spaced? Yes. Does 0 mean the absence of time? No. So this is a interval problem. And that's it for this video, and we will do 1.2 next.